Paigey, where does knowing actually live?
Most people would say the brain, the intellect, up here.
But Tantra disagrees.
The texts locate knowing at the three gates: the head, the heart, and the navel.
Like the way that you can suddenly realize something that you've known your whole life, but never been able to put the words to.
That's jñāna śakti, the divine power of knowing, which the tantric traditions call pratyabhijñā, the recognition of what was already true.
Nice pronunciation. Knowledge lives in the mind, but not as thought, as remembering. I've practiced yoga consistently for over 10 years now, and I know that the most important part of building consistency is community, other people to hold you accountable. And second to that is a solid practice plan to help you experience the true benefits of the practice. And this is exactly why I created the OmSom App. It's a free study tool to help you learn the Sanskrit and the philosophy of yoga. Plus, it's the home to our online community, which we call Sadhana Sangha. Every single month, the team and I offer 5 practices, and I guide you through an asana workshop as well as a subtle technique, and we translate a few lines of the Yoga Sūtra together. It's honestly been my dream to create this app since I started teaching, because this is what I truly needed when I started practicing. So check it out in the show notes, or just search OmSom in the App Store. That's OmSom. Now, back to the episode. Namaste. Welcome to the OmSom Yoga and Ayurveda podcast. My name's Aaron. This is Paige, and we don't have a theme song yet. But we love yoga, and we hope that you love yoga also.
If you don't, then it would be a very confusing mess to find this podcast.
If you listen to this podcast frequently and you don't like yoga, I suggest you find another podcast. Unless you just like our voices and they help you fall asleep, in which case, keep doing you.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to have the knowledge in that subtle space, because it might actually just inspire you to do your practice. And our hope with this podcast, as yoga teachers and yoga professionals, people who work in yoga and train yoga teachers for a living, our hope is to just simply inspire you to practice more yoga.
That is true.
Though we don't really talk about practicing yoga that much. We talk about yoga philosophy, and that's because we really love the yoga philosophy.
There's so much to talk about with the yoga philosophy.
There really is.
But I'm just going to interject here and say there's only 3 weeks into our 300-hour yoga teacher training.
Okay.
Starts the first weekend of September. It's 7 months online, just 1 weekend a month of online study, and then your daily practice related to that month immersion that we do online. You can join us anywhere in the world. We've got so many people joining from Europe and the UK. So if you're worried about the time zone, don't. There are workarounds for it. Recordings are available, but we would love a few more Aussies or New Zealanders or even in the Asia region to join.
Or the US?
I mean, or the US for sure, but I'm wanting someone on our time zone.
It's true.
Anyway, if you're in the US, there's no harm. Please join us too. I'm not trying to disagree with you. But anyway, 3 weeks until we start, 7 months online, and then 2 weeks in Rishikesh, India, April 2027. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Right now when we're recording, which was like a few weeks ago, only 8 spots remain. Mm-hmm. So if you've been thinking about it, this is getting close to your last chance. Please sign up.
100%. And the topic of the training is Tantra and the chakras. And the chakras are a tantric philosophy, practice, methodology. And this month we're exploring Shakti, which is one half of the foundation of Tantra, which is Shiv Shakti. So we're diving into Tantra right now on the podcast. This week we are looking at what is called jñāna Shakti, the power of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Last week we looked at Icha Shakti, which is the power of desire. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, please go back, listen to last week's episode, because it will give you context for this week's episode. Yeah. It comes from Kashmir Śaivism. I want to start off with the story. Here it goes. It comes from the 9th century. It's exactly what you said in the intro, which is pratyabhijñā, which is the doctrine of recognition. Okay, so there's a strange claim in this school. They say liberation is not something you achieve.
Okay.
But it's something that you recognize. And so a student once asked him, then why do we practice? If liberation is here, why should I meditate if I'm already enlightened? And what he said was, imagine this. imagine a woman who is searching for her necklace. You wear necklaces. Imagine you're looking for your necklace. You think you've lost it. She looks in every room of her house and she tears apart the cupboards, she rips everything out of the drawers. She asks her friends and her neighbors and her family, and days pass and then weeks pass and she's still looking. And then one day her friend comes over and she says, "Hey, weren't you looking for your necklace?" And she says, "Yeah, I'm still looking for it. I've been looking for months." And the friend says, "Hey, go have a look in the mirror. Have you looked in the mirror? Because it might be there." And then she goes to look in the mirror and she sees the necklace is around her neck. So she's been wearing it this whole time. And so the student says, after this story, he says, so the practice is the friend that asks you to look in the mirror. And he says, no, the practice is the mirror. The friend is your teacher. And the necklace is that realization of what you already are. Yeah. And jñāna śakti, what is jñāna śakti? Jñāna śakti is the moment you see.
Yes.
The moment you realize that you're wearing the necklace.
It's like the light bulb moment, the aha moment.
It's the moment of the perception of knowledge. Remembering that you put the necklace on, the remembering that you're wearing the necklace.
That's cool. I like that story.
Good. I'm glad that you like that story. Sometimes the stories, they kind of take a tank, don't they? But that one, I think, anyway.
No, I don't think the stories take a tank. I like it. It's interesting as well because you were saying this to me the other day. You were like, why don't you ever take that necklace off? And I was just like, if I take it off, I'll lose it or I'll forget about it.
Exactly.
It's like, if it's on, it's always a part of me.
Exactly. Okay, so what is jñāna śakti?
Yep.
Is it jñāna śakti? Jñāna śakti?
Jnana śakti?
Jnana śakti? Jnana śakti?
Jnana. Just for context, it's spelled J-N-A-N-A. Yeah. But there's some little dialect marks.
Kang hang, gang hang, ngang, chang chang, jang jang.
If you want to learn the Bija sounds, join the 300 hour.
Nyang.
Nyang.
That's where it comes from. So, and just tongue position matters.
Sure.
Kang hang is everyone can make this sound. K.
K.
K. Kang hang, and then g, the G sound comes from the same place. Gang hang. So there is an N sound that comes from that same place, which is ngang.
No.
So if you say g,
g,
ng,
yeah,
g,
g,
ng.
n.
Nice.
Gnya.
Jnāna.
Jnāna.
Yeah. So it's not that one.
No.
That's commonly how it's pronounced.
Okay, right.
So then we say chang,
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 jang,
jang,
jang.
jang.
So from that ch, j. So say k, g,
k, g,
ch,
ch,
j,
j,
ny.
yeah. It's like tongue is up.
Yeah. Jnāna.
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 Shakti. Jnāna Shakti.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we got this. So ny means to know. It's knowledge. It's the sound of knowledge, knowing. Jnāna Shakti is the power of knowing. Yeah. It's the capacity that your consciousness has, Shiva has, to recognize himself here in the world. And so it's like if you are the universe, if you are consciousness, if you already are what you're seeking, it's your capacity to know that as an experience, as a recognition, as a realization. Jnana Shakti is the realization of yoga. Right? If Ichcha Shakti is the desire of yoga, Jnana Shakti is the knowledge of yoga, the realization of yoga. Now, distinctions here, because there's some different words here for knowledge. There's another word for knowledge, vidya. Vidya means something you've learned from someone else. Pramarna means knowledge that you've verified against a source. But jnana comes from a different root. And jnana is actually the capacity for knowing. It's not the knowledge itself, but it's the ability to know.
That's interesting.
It's kind of like one layer deeper than the knowledge itself. Because the knowledge itself is one thing, but the knowing of that knowledge is what we're talking about.
And the capacity to perceive that knowledge.
Exactly.
It's like what we always talk about so many times with people that just start on the path and they're just like, but I just want to teach my friends and my family all of these things. And sometimes they don't have the capacity for that knowledge yet.
Exactly. And it's kind of like people that come in and they're like, yeah, I already know this. And it's like, do you know this or do you know this? Do you know it as an intellectual thing, an exercise, the words that you've remembered, which is maybe the pramana, or maybe it's the vidya, something. Do you know this is something you've learned, or do you know this is something you are? There's a difference.
Yeah.
Which is why we kind of repeat, and we love our lists in yoga.
Yeah. And it's also like how we teach sometimes this idea that it's just a remembering. Like when we get to Anandamaya Kosha or Samadhi or the concept of svasta in Ayurveda and wellness in Ayurveda, it's like there is knowledge of the path and how to get there and what it's meant to be like. And then there's a remembering that we already know.
Yeah. Someone asked us the other day, what's the point of a teacher if you already have the knowledge inside of you? Yeah. That was the question. And it's kind of like the teacher points you back toward the mirror. That's the only job of the teacher, is just to continue pointing you back toward the mirror. And if you keep forgetting the mirror, you need someone to point you back toward the mirror. You're just like, no, the mirror is there. Look in the mirror and you'll find your necklace. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because in that same conversation, we were talking about, like how Aaron and I work in those kind of environments where we get asked a question. And the first thing we'll always say is, what do you think? Because, the teacher isn't one to... Can you hear the monkeys in the background?
There's a monkey fight happening.
The teacher isn't the one to impose the knowledge, but for you to remind you to look within for the knowledge.
Yeah.
And then, we were kind of explaining that we will always ask, what do you think first? And if we disagree or if we think they're on the wrong path with that, we will always, continue with follow-up questions and explore that through our own. We would never lead people astray. But that's our hope, is for people, they already know the answers. Our students already know the answers always. And it's just about getting it out of them.
It's remembering that.
Directing them back to the mirror.
Okay, so we have this super specific Sanskrit phrase that you very perfectly pronounced in the intro.
Great.
Pratyabhijñā.
Yes.
Which means recognition. Recognition.
Yes.
To recognize. Is to recognize, to remember. Something that you already know. Remembering what was already present. And this is the exact jñāna śakti that we're talking about. We are talking about this idea that you already are what you are seeking through the yoga practice.
Beautiful. I mean, isn't that just self-empowerment? That's just liberation.
Yeah.
But what other tradition, I'm sure there's plenty, but what other tradition doesn't say it's not about me as a teacher, it's not about the knowledge, it's about you, and you already have access to the knowledge. You already have the knowing of the knowledge. You just have to access it, remember it.
You are already liberated.
Yes.
That's what this Tantra says. It says you are already liberated, and practice is not something that produces that. But it just removes the forgetfulness that is obscuring that, right? It helps you to recognize that you are already liberated. So this pratyabhijñā is not just recognition, but it's this specific moment where something you've always known reveals itself through language. You're putting words to something you already knew. It's kind of like, I knew about this feeling, this experience, blah, blah, but now I have a word to describe it. And it's like this language comes in and it's like, oh, there's this, we had that moment together yesterday. We were kind of sitting and talking and we were discussing something and both of us were just like, there's this thing that we now can put a word to.
For sure.
And it makes so much sense when you say it.
Yeah, for sure.
But before there was kind of this feeling, knowing, understanding, but not really knowing. Kind of like this illusionary space where it's kind of like, I know this thing, but I can't put a word to it. And so it's that moment of recognition of just like,
it's like when you know something isn't quite right.
Yeah.
And you can't pinpoint what it is. And then as soon as somebody brings your awareness to it or you remember or you realize, you're just like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Or like that ADHD moment where you walk into a room and forgot what you're doing in there. And then it's just like, and you have to blink a few times.
And you know you're in there for some reason.
Look around and then you're just like, that's it. I was putting my phone on charge.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, let's consult the textual sources.
Jnāna śakti.
Jnāna śakti of ADHD.
Unreal. Okay. So then it's actually this. Your mind is the obstacle. your mind is your wanting to know is what's limiting you from actually knowing and recognizing it.
Yes.
It's like the over-analyzing all of these things, the over-analyzing what is samadhi, what is yoga, what is ananda, what is enlightenment, what is liberation, looking at all these different places, asking ChatGPT, what is enlightenment, how long till I get enlightened? All of that is actually a distraction from enlightenment. It's just this recognition that you already are that. Okay, so what do the texts say? Because you're hurrying me up now. We've got 10 minutes left of our 30-minute episode because we're trying to keep these episodes 30 minutes, but we just keep talking so much because we're so excited. Tad bhumikaha sarva darshana sthityaha. You know what that means?
No, tell me.
It means all philosophical positions are stages of this same recognition. This comes from the heart of this teaching, pratyabhijñā. It's saying all philosophical positions are stages of this same recognition. And that's to say all yoga traditions are saying the same thing.
Would you go as far to say all religions are saying the same thing?
I wouldn't say that because I don't want to upset people and conflict their beliefs, but I think if they were really devout in their religion, they wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say, yeah, that's the idea. All philosophical positions. He uses the word bhumika, philosophical stances, groundings. And a philosophical stance is like a way of seeing the world from a spiritual perspective. Yeah. And so it's like this philosophical position, that Patanjali's or Tantras or this text or the Vedic text or this religion or that religion are speaking about and stages of this same recognition. It's just like someone's having this recognition, I'm having the recognition, you're having the recognition. There are stages to that process, and within those stages there's just kind of these lenses that the mind can take.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in the Yoga Sutra we get this pratyabhijñā. Pratyakshanumana agamaha pramanani. I got there with it. Right knowledge has 3 states: direct perception, inference, and reliable testimony.
And this is one of the first Yoga Sutras, 1.7. So if you've done any Yoga Sutra study, if you're in Sadhana Sangha, it's like way back in the first chapter.
Yeah. Get in there. Go explore the Yoga Sutra. Okay. Pratyaksha is directly perceiving the truth, which is super close to this tantric idea. The next is anumana, which is inferring the truth, right? This is the case, therefore this is the case.
Yeah, it's like implying almost.
And then pramarna, which is I got the knowledge from Paige, who I trust.
Is pramana direct perception?
Pratyaksha is direct perception.
I think
it's the other way, pramarna. You sure it's not like knowledge from a reliable source?
No, I feel like it's direct perception. Anyway.
We can validate this in the show notes.
Yeah.
We'll consult the Yoga Sutra for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it says that this knowledge is born from 3 places. Intuitive, omnipresent, all-pervading, instantaneous. In the Upanishads, it says there are 2 kinds of knowing, 2 kinds of jñāna. Paravidya, higher knowledge, and aparavidya, lower knowledge. That's to say, like, there's this knowledge which, it's gotten sunny in here. There's this knowledge which comes from that divine source, and there's this knowledge which comes from worldly sources. Higher knowledge, lower knowledge. Okay, so where does this knowledge come from? The knowledge that we're seeking in the Yoga tradition is the knowledge which comes from the universe, the knowledge which comes from within ourselves, the knowledge that is ourselves. And jñāna śakti is the moment of recognition of knowledge, right? To recognize the knowledge of all of the traditions.
Yes.
It's the power that leads us towards that recognition.
Mm-hmm. Powerful.
And it's active in the higher part of the mind, which is the buddhi mind.
The intuitive mind.
The intuitive mind, the discerning mind.
Yes.
The mind that has the capacity to discern what's real and not real.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about knowledge and Ayurveda?
I think what comes through for this is this idea, maybe I've spoken about it before, of Samyoga and Viyoga, that every single time I offer an Ayurveda workshop or a lecture in that kind of capacity, I ask my students to do some journaling. Samyoga is the things that you do consciously, subconsciously, habits, rituals, actions, thoughts that lead you towards the state of yoga. And Viyoga are the things that slice away from that place of yoga. So again, these conscious, unconscious habits, rituals, actions, thoughts that move you away from that state of yoga. And I will always ask students to do just a couple of dot points at the start of any workshop. What are the things that you do that you know actively move you towards the state of yoga? And what are the things that you do that actively move you away from that state of yoga?
Yeah.
And that state of yoga being presence, clarity, and a lot of time in Ayurveda, health, vitality, vibrancy. And then, we have a bit of a share, and then we go through the content, we go through the workshop, Ayurveda's knowledge, guidelines, everything like that. And then I ask them to go back.
Yeah.
Ask them to go back to their notes and and look at what they wrote down. And the teaching is that they already know the answers. Like, you can pay me to give you the answers. You can invest all of this time to know the answers, but you already know them as a feeling. You already know the feeling of what helps you and what does not help you. And it's just about actually recognizing that and putting words to it and being like, oh, that actually does lead me towards health, or oh, that actually does move me away from the state of yoga. That is jñāna śakti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the moment in your workshops as well when it's just like people give themselves the advice, and then you're just like, hey, like if you just did that, this little list of things that you've just written down on your own, I'm sure you would be 90% of the way towards exactly what you want health-wise. Right. But it's just like this kind of self-deprecating behavior that it's just like, we're not listening. Yeah. We're not listening to the Icha Shakti. Yeah. We're not listening to the desire for health. Yeah. And therefore that knowledge is there. And it's just like, okay, so Icha Shakti is the desire for health. Yeah. Then there's like this exercise that you do, list out these Samyoga, Viyogas, and then the Samyoga, you look at the list, and then that moment of realization of just like, that moment of realization is the jñāna Shakti. Yeah,
exactly. And I just love that part of the workshops because they're just like, oh, you're right.
Okay, so if we could sum up in one phrase, what is jñāna Shakti? Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
That moment of, that's jñāna Shakti.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think we need to say anything more than that. I mean, I had a whole bunch more things here. We're getting close. I'm happy to wrap this up. Are you ready?
I think just the one thing that I would kind of speak to on this is the idea of cultivating sattva. The sattva is that state of balance and clarity and lightness and clear perception. Yeah. That if we're not in that state of sattva, then our perspective is tainted. Yeah. And it's the same way how intuitive eating, when you're in a state of imbalance, can lead you more towards that state of imbalance. Like attracts like, and the opposite brings balance. So there's this emphasis in the yoga tradition and Ayurveda on cultivating sattva so that we can see clearly, so that we can know perception and balance and lightness and move towards that. Yeah. That without the sattva, these aha moments might be illusion, might be distraction, might be moving us in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and just like let yourself be driven towards deeper and deeper and deeper moments of realization in your journey that like Paige and I both, even though we've been studying this for so long and we can talk about this stuff for hours, there are still moments frequently, like when we're doing the podcast, when I'm teaching the 200 hour, where I'm just like, and it came out of my mouth. Yeah. Like I'm realizing it whilst I'm saying it. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, but I just said it. Yeah. It's just like, that's the magic of it. Exactly and the more of those moments you have, the more you're kind of like, oh, I need to stay on this path. I need to continue towards it. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. So stick around. But in the meantime, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. What has been your latest aha moment.
Yeah.
What's been your latest moment of jnana shakti? We'd love to hear what your latest takeaway is from your study of yoga, if you're studying yoga. I'm sure you're studying yoga. And please share this podcast with a friend. It's been doing so well lately. I'm just so pleased about how many new people have been joining us. I think we have like 7,000 Spotify subscribers now.
That's amazing.
Like there's 7,000 people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. I know there's many more of you who are out there who don't subscribe. So please, whatever podcast platform you're listening to, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, I don't know what other places people listen to podcasts, but subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. I can't even tell you how much it helps us. And I'll tell you why, because the algorithm will suggest our podcast to other people like you.
Yeah.
If you subscribe, you're giving the algorithm a signal that says, hey, this podcast is worth listening to and I want to be notified when the next episode is released. It really helps. I don't think a lot of people understand algorithms, but that's how they work. You have to interact. You have to engage. If you want the content of the podcast to continue, please interact with it.
And if you don't already know, we don't get paid for this podcast. We don't have any ads turned on. We could, apparently, but we don't because we can't choose what ads get displayed.
I don't want ads about gambling.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows what else? Meat, who knows? But regardless, we don't get paid for this. So just your subscription and your capacity to share this podcast with somebody that you think would love it just means the world to us. So please do that.
Hari Om.